Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update. The Afternoon Update with Lynlee Foo.
Welcome to Industry Insight. Now, you've probably heard the phrase location, location, location when it comes to buying property. But in recent years, there's been another factor making its way into the conversation: nature. In Singapore's dense urban landscape, having greenery right outside your window or living within walking distance to a park or forest might not just be good for your health, it could also be good for your home's value. This is what some are calling the green premium. Are buyers walking in because they want to live near the forest or because the price point, which is starting from $1,995 per square foot, is competitive for the location? Today on Industry Insight, we're looking at how much nature really matters in the property market and whether buyers are genuinely paying more for it. Joining me is Residential Director at GuocoLand, whose latest project, Springleaf Residence, dedicates more than 70% of its land to landscaping and sits right by the Central Catchment Nature Reserve. Dora, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Hi, Lynlee.
Now, let's start with this idea of a green premium. From where you sit as a developer, do you see clear evidence that proximity to nature or well-designed landscaping can influence buyer decisions and even pricing?
Well, let's talk about Springleaf, for example. We have always been designing our gardens to be lush, and this is a key feature in all GuocoLand developments. So at Springleaf Residence, we have dedicated 70% of the land to landscaping and facilities. This sort of supports physical and mental wellness and also encourage interaction among residents. So when you have spaces like this, the residents definitely feel more at ease coming out of their homes and into the green gardens and spending time there. We also feature native species in our gardens to restore nature and biodiversity within the development. So this is like bringing the forest into our development as well. So most developments in Singapore will boast to have this feature. But at Springleaf, it's really rare that we are situated right next to primary forest. Plus, we are also sitting on a relatively large plot of land. We are on 344,000 square feet of land, which gives us a lot of opportunity to work on the gardens.
It sounds like this isn't just a niche, it's becoming a broader expectation as well. 70% of the site is dedicated to landscaping. Plus, it's a stone's throw from Springleaf MRT. So tell us, it's a very interesting case study. What were the design priorities here and why such a strong emphasis on green space?
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, it is really rare to be able to sit next to a primary forest. This is not just smallish forest, it's also our central catchment area, which provides us with large expanse of nature and greenery in the wider boundary. Some of these spaces that we have in Springleaf Residence, for example, actually gives us neat gardens where we can position pavilions for various users. We even have a pet pavilion so that even the animals can enjoy a little niche of their own. There are also other cocoon pavilions which has other purposes, for example, for lounging. One of these is made to feel as if you are like in a living room out of your home. So a living room in nature, in the green, in the garden, So it is actually welcoming people to step out of their homes to spend time in the gardens.
So not only is it convenient, it's also a very nature-centric lifestyle for humans and animals.
Yes.
Okay, that must make it stand out in such a competitive market.
Indeed, we do have quite a bit of, we are not open for sales yet, but we have received large groups of visitors in the last 2 weekends at our previews.
So now that previews have started, who's coming through the doors? Are buyers walking in because they want to live near the forest or because the price point, I think it starts from $1,995 per square feet, is competitive for the location?
It is, I suppose, buyers, whether young or older, are curious to find out how it is like living next to the forest. And like we say, it is within a 2-minute walk to the Springleaf MRT station on the TL line, so it makes it really convenient. And I think our layouts do attract most of these buyers to come and fill the spaces as well.
Tell me more about the buyer profile. From what you've seen in the past few preview sessions, who are these buyers?
We actually see large variety in terms of age group. We have the younger ones who are looking for matrimonial homes. We have working adults, young families who are looking to find a development with a bit more space for their young children to be playing in. We also have the older ones who are probably considering a retirement home and where better to retire in than next to nature.
Yeah. So what kind of feedback are you getting from these, people who have come through the doors?
I suppose most of them are really happy to be able to fill space within the development. It is a huge plot of land that we are situated on. And other than that, we actually have a conserved building in the development. So this building is actually a previous school. It was the Upper Thompson Secondary School, which eventually became Seletar Institute. And it was built in 1965. So we are conserving one block. It's a 4-story block, which we have converted classrooms into residential units.
Wow, very interesting.
So, yes, this block actually, we designed it to be sitting in front of our usual grand lawn. So in all GuocoLand developments, we like to include a lawn in our garden. This actually provides space in land scarce Singapore for kids and also ourselves to have a bit more space out of the home. But in this development, because of the conserved school building, we have designed the grand lawn into a school field. And there is actually a jogging track that runs around the school field.
Wow.
So with that, we have even termed facilities in the area after facilities that you'll find in the school. So we have, like, for example, the study room, the technical room. We have an ECA house, for example. So that is quite interesting for most people, as we are all very familiar with our school surroundings. So it's sort of like a reminiscence of school days within the development.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a big draw with families, and it sounds like the nature element is really becoming a conversation starter already, even for those who might have first been drawn in by the price or location. I think this is, wow, very interesting indeed. Now, there's also the question of affordability, of course. If nature becomes a premium feature, does that risk pushing these homes out of reach for many? And how do developers like GuocoLand strike a balance between offering green features and keeping prices accessible?
I think the essence here is balance. These features will be a good addition to the buyers only if they are not adding too much cost into their purchases. So it will be, like you mentioned, we have to balance this and use reasonable method to make it viable. So, for example, including native species in the development actually sort of bring the forest into the development without adding too much cost. And it gives us the opportunity to have a feeling of a larger forest within the development, yet safe for our residents to walk in, to enjoy like a walk in the forest.
Okay, so it's really about smart planning and design efficiencies.
Yes.
Okay. Looking more broadly, the URA's master plans are weaving more greenery into future precincts, such as Tengah, Holland Plain, even some industrial eco-districts. Do you see this green premium becoming a standard feature rather than a niche selling point going forward?
You see, I don't know about you, but I do feel like Singapore is getting smaller now. Not because we are literally getting smaller in terms of spaces, but because our public transportation network is becoming so efficient. It's taking us lesser time to reach further away parts of Singapore than the city. And this gives us opportunity to be near to our nature reserves and like nature parks, which are usually situated in more ulu places. For example, for us, right, although we are in Upper Thompson, it's just a MRT ride to CBD, to Orchard Road, and eventually we are also connected to the RTS to JB. And the airline will actually connect us to Changi Airport eventually. So we seem to be getting around Singapore quite easily now, which gives buyers more opportunity of living nearer to nature, I guess. I think greenery is an important feature in all our lives. I suppose post-COVID, all of us have a bit more emphasis on our wellness and putting in a bit more nature loving into our life. Why nature loving in that sense? I think we are appreciating time outdoors nowadays, probably more after our COVID episode. So having developments or including greenery and nature into the master plan is a good idea, I think.
Well, I like that, green is becoming a baseline and not just, an afterthought, really. So even if everyone starts offering it, I think the differentiator here becomes how you deliver green living, not just whether it's there.
Yes, I think for us at GuocoLand, for all our developments, whether commercial or residential, we like to say that we design the spaces with the users in mind. So we have always been considering from the user's perspective when we're designing it. So even if we are including green spaces, we also look at how these spaces are easily maintained, for example, such that the longevity of the gardens in the longer term.
Okay. And finally, Dora, where do you see this trend heading in the next 5 to 10 years? Will green features remain a differentiator, or will the market move on to something else entirely, like perhaps net zero buildings or tech-enabled wellness?
I like to think that as technology advances, some things will not change, like our natural inclination to nature and greenery. And I think this is becoming a luxury now that technology are so easily reached on, So with that, I think nature is becoming such a luxury to have, and I think it is really an expectation moving forward.
Okay. And I guess developers will have to keep evolving because today's green premium could just be tomorrow's baseline expectation, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dora, for your insights, for giving us an inside look at the green premium and how it's playing out in Singapore's housing market. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She is Dora Chng, Residential Director of developer GuocoLand. So whether you're an investor, home buyer, or just someone curious about how nature fits into our urban future, I think one thing's clear. Green is no longer just a nice to have. It could be a serious driver of value. I'm Lynlee, and this has been Industry Insight on Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.